everybody. Welcome back to the Angel Angle. We had recorded a 30-minute podcast and then looked at my phone, and then I had realized that my phone had died and we had got no video. The video just wasn't there because I forgot to turn on the power brick. And then when I went, okay, well, at least we have our microphone. We'll just have a videoless podcast, and the audio file got corrupted again. So we are doing...
We're high tech. You're at the Angel's Angle.
This is the Angel Angle part 2. Here's the bright side. We know what we're going to talk about. We're going to try to make this a 20-minute Angel Angle. So first off, hey everybody, welcome back to the Angel Angle. My name is Brandon. This is my dad, Mike, and this is your podcast for everything Angels baseball. We're going to talk about where we left off. The Angels had their first homestand of the season against Toronto, and to sum it all up, what was it? It was disappointing. It was very disappointing. Mainly because of the bullpen. We felt like we could have won all of those games, but there were a couple games that got away from us. A lot of unlucky hits, a lot of hard balls hit by the Angels, a lot of kind of scribblers by the Blue Jays and the Nationals, and ultimately it ended up as a 3-3 homestand and a heartbreaking loss on Sunday. Father, very disappointing not disappointing homestand, but games, especially in Toronto, where you felt like we could have won.
Yeah, when you have a team like Toronto in and you had a chance to take all 3 games, I think you always feel disappointment and frustration, and I think Angel fans felt that across the board. I mean, you're up 6-0. I mean, we already blew that first game, and we come back, we win the second game, and then game 3 we're up 6-0 and going into the 6th, and you feel pretty confident on Easter as I'm driving to your uncle's house that things are going to be great, and the wheels on the bus fell off. But I'll say one thing: it was a frustrating loss, but I will say this: we did not give up, and that was great to see, because I feel like Angel teams of the past, after we blew something like that, would have went down quietly, and we
were the never say die Angels, and as disappointing as it was, and you felt like we could have swept Toronto, we did end up losing 2-3 to Toronto, which is all right. We did have a great comeback in the second game. First game, it was again the Matt Moore hit Jimmy Herget combination. But that's okay. But we just finished up the National Series. First game we lose to the Nationals. It was also another game we blew. We had a lead in that game as well. We felt like we could have won that game. But the next 2 games we do win. The offense wasn't quite there. A lot of hard hit balls by the offense. A lot of weakly hit balls by the Nationals. We're still ending up 2-3 out of that. But you felt like the offense just isn't clicking. It's not where it needs to be right now.
Definitely not clicking. I mean, we've got... I will say this tonight, thank goodness for the bottom of our lineup, right?
And thank goodness for Brett Phillips, is what I'm trying to say. Brett Phillips and Logan O'Hoppe are the dudes. Logan O'Hoppe looks like the catcher that we've been needing.
He looks really good. I mean, he leads the Angels in RBIs and home runs.
Logan O'Hoppe.
Yes.
If you would have thought that beginning of the season,
no.
I would have called you crazy.
Yeah.
Brett Phillips got his first start of the year, and he showed us all what Brett Phillips is all about. Had a big old smile on his face, was doing all sorts of cool stuff. 2 walks and an RBI walk when the Angels had the bases loaded with no outs, and the next 2 guys struck out, and you're thinking, oh, great, here we go again. We're not going to get anything out of this. And Brett Phillips works a great walk, and driving in a run. His first walk of the game, he then stole second, he then stole third, caused an error, got home, manufactured run all by himself.
Yeah.
Made a great catch in the outfield.
And that really was the difference in the game. That Brett Phillips, I mean, think about it.
Well, everything was Brett Phillips in the game. Brett Phillips scored the first run all by himself.
No, but I'm just saying that manufactured run to me was, I mean, the walk with the bases loaded, that was great too. But think about this. You get nothing but a walk in the inning.
There was no contact before
and
you scored.
Score a run. That's and I will say this was one thing that I don't understand quite. Stolen bases are way up in baseball. The Angels are like 26 in stolen bases. I don't understand why we're not running more, especially since the fact that our team really isn't clicking right now. One way to kind of help them get out of that is to manufacture some runs. Like, we're not even moving base runners over. I mean, we've got guys on base we got a guy at second, and we can't even get him to third. Or we have the bases loaded, nobody out, and we strike out twice. How about just putting the ball in play? It's those type of things I think that we get frustrated as fans, and I know baseball's not an easy sport, but it does get frustrating at times. But with all that being said, we're in first place.
The Angels are in first place. We are the 7-5 first place Angels, and as it wasn't a bad homestand. And you saw Mike Trout, he clobbered the first pitch he saw at Angel Stadium. He absolutely destroyed it. He went 0 for in this series against the Nationals. But all said and done, it was a homestand where you felt like, man, we could have done so much better because we know what the team is capable of.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to look at it and be like, okay, we're 3-3. We faced Toronto, really, really good team. And we had a really, really crazy game on Sunday, like insanely crazy. MLB was already talking about game of the year on Sunday. In my opinion, it's not game of the year unless it's a walk-off, unless it's a crazy walk-off. But
we all of this craziness that happened, and we're still in first place. We're 7-5, so we got to look at the bright side because it's only 12 games. So I think as Angel fans, sometimes we get impatient. I know I get impatient. I know after the Toronto game, I know after most of these games, I'm, and again, like I have to, I'm at work, so I don't get to see all the games all the time. And I'm kind of glad I don't, because sometimes by the time a game's done, I'm a disaster.
Yeah.
I'm stressed out. I'm in a bad mood. My wife has to stay away. It gets crazy sometimes. I get too emotionally attached. So it's good that I haven't really been able to watch these games. I've just been watching highlights, or I might catch, an inning or so here or there at work. But otherwise, I really am not able to watch the games. And I think it's really been better that way. And I just go back and watch the highlights or the lowlights.
Well, I am actually very proud of myself. I have not missed a game this year.
No, awesome.
I have watched every single game so far. So I've been through everything so far, and I'm pretty happy with where we are right now. Especially watching Griffin Canning come back today, 2 years since he last pitched in 2021 and mid-season around June or July. He looked pretty good. He had that rocky inning, but there were just a lot of singles, a lot of high singles. A couple were hit hard, but I think the other two were just little bloopers that kind of snuck through the infield or something like that.
Yeah, those 4 hits in a row. That just seems to be Washington's thing. They did that to us the day that first game.
They almost lead the league in singles, and again, it showed great composure that he got into that really bad jam. He was able to get out of it, and if you told me that your first game pitched in 2 years, you're going to go 5 innings, give up 2 runs, that's a victory for Griffin Canning. Yeah. It does leave the situation, though.
And he only had 69 pitches. He would be on pace to go 7 innings if he was at the level.
Full capacity.
Yeah. That's awesome. Be at 69 pitches after 5 innings and giving up only 2 runs. You're going to take that every day.
Yes, you will. And it does leave the question, though.
Yeah.
Because Andrew Wantz was optioned to activate Canning off the IL.
Yep.
It's not a matter of fact that Wantz was doing a bad job. Wantz was actually one of our better pitchers out of the pen so far to start the year. It's just that he has options. It's him and Slim Jim, Jimmy Herget, and you can't send down Jimmy Herget, so you're going to send down Wantz. And so now we have 3 starters on the team. We have Tucker Davidson, Jose Suarez, El Demente, and we have Griffin Canning. And if the video from our first recording did not go out, we already discussed this. We have kind of an unconventional thinking on this. Unfortunately, Wantz is going to be the odd man out. We both are opting, if we were Perry, to leave Suarez, Tucker, and Canning all on the roster all at the same time. Leave one in the bullpen. I think you said who?
I think you move Suarez to the bullpen. I think we talked about this. He's not good at the beginning of the season. He's a mid-season.
He is a second half Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah, so he does not. And I think it'd be a good place for him to take a little bit of the pressure off. And the big thing I think about having really 3 long guys, right? Because Matt Moore also can go long. And then you have Jaime Barria. And then if you had Suarez in there, now you have 3 guys. And I kind of liked how this worked in a couple of the games where we had one of these starters or these long men come in And basically after 5 innings, a pitcher comes out after 5, maybe he just had too high of a pitch count. And you can run this guy out there for the last 3 to 4 innings, and you don't have to use any of your bullpen up. Honestly, I think it's actually kind of a cool thing to do, and it saves your bullpen for when you really need them in those times. And I again, if it's in a lot of games, I think it will work. So I'm a fan of that. Is it the perfect situation? No, I think we want Wentz up, but there's not. I think at this point you can't give up on Davidson because what we gave up to get him,
Mr. Rafael Iglesias,
and because of that, I think you just can't throw in the towel because you'd have to DF or release him or put him through waivers, and he's never going to clear waivers. Someone's going to take him, and you can't let that happen. And you're not going to also let go of Suarez because the same thing, if we did that to him, someone would pick him up. I think at this point we're kind of stuck. We know there'll be injuries at some point, whether it's to a starter or a reliever, and at that point you will have, you'll be able to bring a Wentz back up. Or if Herget struggles for a little bit, you could flip flop them for a little bit, let Herget go down for a week or two and get his mojo back, and those type of things. But one of the other things I talked about, because I think there's just been lots of frustration, and some of it's been with Phil, but I'm still a Phil fan, but I haven't liked his bullpen usage, and I think that's been fair. The biggest thing for me is we do not have power arms down in our bullpen for the most part. So we have guys that take a little bit of time. They have to be hitting their spots. Matt Moore's one of those. And twice, with 2 outs, Matt Moore may have given up a hit or a walk, had a guy on, but got the next 2 outs, and he replaces him when Matt Moore just started to get his mojo. You could see he was hitting his spots. He was feeling good. Let him finish the inning. You're bringing in a cold Herget or whoever it would have been. It takes him basically it takes him a player or two to face before a lot of our pitchers really get their mojo going. So I think starting pitchers off with clean innings is a much better way to go, and not keep having to bring guys in just because it's a righty-lefty. I'm not a big believer in the righty-lefty matchup. That's an old school philosophy. Let guys go out there and pitch, especially with our bullpen. We don't have these power arms you can just bring in there and throw 100 miles
except
an hour.
for Jose Quijada.
Okay, but besides Quijada,
the best arm in the pen.
Well, right now he looked great. He's looked great the last 2 games.
And again, he has come out. He closed today's game.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it. I am a pro Jose Quijada closer candidate. If this was like an election season, my vote would be for Jose Quijada. Plain and simple. I think he has that bulldog mentality. He comes in, jams fastballs on your throat. Again, he closed out today's game. He only threw 1 pitch that wasn't a fastball, and I watched it happen. It was the first pitch to the second batter. It was a first pitch changeup. It sucked. He said, "To hell with that. I'm just shoving more fastballs down your throat," and it worked. Because that's who Jose Quijada is.
Yeah. Well, he has the mentality. We talked about this last year. I mean, the guy gets fired up. You love that in a closer. You want a guy that's fiery, that's not afraid. He's not afraid. And you can see when he's on, he's great. And I think it was good, too, that he got to face a Washington lineup, I think, to get his confidence up his last 2 games. To do it against that before we have to go into the big boys that are coming up, I think that's a plus. Because once you get the confidence going and he can start feeling like he can hit his locations, we're in a much better place. And I think that for the whole bullpen, you look at that, the Washington lineup, we just talked about it. They're kind of a punch and Judy team. They're not a power team at all. I think they only have like 5 or 6 home runs for the season. They've got contact hitters. And so I think that really helped our bullpen because we're not facing all these big home run power guys, and it helped them relax a little bit. And when you see that, we actually saw some success over the last few games with our bullpen, which much needed. So,
absolutely, the Angels have a new home run celebration this year because it debuted at the home opener. The Angels have the coolest samurai helmet I have ever seen in my entire life, and I thought the cowboy hat was cool. This is way cooler. And for all you people out there saying that it's a little bit overkill, shut up and have some fun. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's a $2,500 samurai helmet. I forgot the Japanese word for it, but it's like kodoto or something like that. It's awesome. All right. It's a cool samurai helmet. Have some fun with your life. It's awesome. I already saw a lady. She made one for her rally monkey. So now the rally monkey's wearing it.
It's already catching on. The only thing is, the one thing I will say is the thing is so heavy. They put it on their head and like half their face is gone.
That's part of the fun.
I mean, they can't even almost see when they're walking
That's
down the
part of the
dugout
fun of
steps.
it.
Someone's probably going to get injured if they put it on, and they're like trying to look to go down the dugout steps because the thing goes like some of these guys, their head, the thing's so huge it goes boom right over their head, and they can't.
That is
see
part
it.
of the fun of it.
Yeah.
The last thing we have
If
to
they're
do,
having fun, that's what matters, right? Because it keeps people.
and again, after all these years of losing seasons, I have gotten very used to the idea of just watching to have some fun. The other thing we did talk about in the other recording that so sadly got lost into the abyss is that we will be having our first ever in-person Angel Angle Intel moment. I will be going to the game on April 24th against the Oakland Athletics at 6:38. And that'll be my first game of the year.
Wait. Do you have a bloody nose? Oh, no, that's the seat you're sitting in. Oh, never mind.
Let me tell you guys something. I don't care that I'm sitting in nosebleeds. You're just upset that my tickets are $7 and yours aren't. And let me tell you something, because I know, and I hope that none of you guys come and find me. I know for the 5 of you that are our family that are watching this will not come and find me on April 24th. I will make a case for my favorite section at Angel Stadium that I have found with my girlfriend is section 401. And let me tell you why it's section 401. If you don't know where section 401 is, look it up. If you go down the left field line, if you go to the upper deck, like literally that upper deck right before, there's a drop right overlooking the bullpen where it ends. That's section 401. There is nobody there. You can have your hot dog 2 seats down, a drink 3 seats down. You can put your feet up and your arms back. No one's stopping you. There's no random stranger on your left and right squeezing you in, and you're all hot and you're sweaty and it's awkward and you can't say anything. You can talk freely, do what you want. And let me be very clear about section 401. You cannot get the seats on the left side because then you're completely obstructed by the foul pole. Those seats are terrible. If you get the seats all on the edge, not only do you get a straight view of the whole field, you can see the big board easily, no like turning your head and looking back and forth from the field. Everything is in front of you, and you're overlooking the bullpen. I stand by it, besides the walk to get up there, and the fact that you feel like you're 500 feet above everything.
Yeah.
Best seats for $7 you can get, section 401. Don't start going there. Leave it alone. No one's there. No one's there. And
you just give away your secret.
I know I did.
Go visit Brandon on the 24th, section
because
401.
People see those seats and like, man, those are the worst seats. You gotta try it out. I guarantee.
The real reason is my son is as cheap as I am.
They are $7, people. They are $7 seats. So. It'll be fun though. So I'll have to get some footage for the Angel next week. I do have a pretty good record going on. I have some pretty good luck with going to Angel games where they've won.
Yeah.
However, the last time I saw an A's game was when we went and the A's clobbered the Angels. That's back when Matt Chapman was on the A's, and we snuck down to field level with my cousin Ethan. And Ethan, if you don't know the guy, of course you guys don't, but if Ethan, that man knows every celebrity known to man. He meets every celebrity. He goes to Angel games all the time. He somehow manages to get memorabilia. He gets baseballs. He gets autographs. He meets Ipe. He meets baseball players. He meets broadcasters. He meets everybody. And he also knows the parents of the players, apparently, because I was heckling the heck out of Matt Chapman when he was on the A's, and Ethan told me that Matt Chapman's parents were the row in front of us. So I basically I said that their son sucked right in front of their face, but that's what happens. And that was the last time I saw an A's game. The A's clobbered the Angels. I'm hoping for a different result this time around. That's back when Mike Morin was on the team, if you guys remember Mike Morin.
Yeah.
The guy had 2 different changeups.
Yeah. So the Angel Angle will be making its appearance at Angel Stadium. So good for you getting to go to your first game. And we don't live in Orange County, so it's a little bit more of a trek for us to get to games. So, but I'm glad you're getting to get
Lots
that
of gas.
first game in. At least you're going to watch them face Oakland.
Don't shut up. Don't say anything. Gosh. I'm trying to look up there.
That means we're losing.
Yeah,
all
we
right.
just lost.
So, but at any rate, so I think when we look at the big picture,
Final takeaways.
well, I think when you look at the picture, we all could be very frustrated, like we talked about. We could be very frustrated about how things are. Players haven't looked great. Our offense is not clicking. We're stranded. Our runners in scoring position is horrible. AKA even tonight, bases loaded, nobody out. And if it wasn't for Brett Phillips with a bases loaded walk, we score nothing.
Our hero, Brett Phillips.
So we're struggling. We're just off a little bit because if you look, we're crushing some balls. We
are hitting the ball hard a lot.
We're just right at people, and those things will start to fall. So I think when you look at it, there's been very frustrating first 12 days, but it is 12 days. As frustrated as I've been with Nevin and his bullpen management, I still you got to give him the season to see what he's gonna do. I think he'll continue to learn and develop. There's just so many things right now. The good news is we're still in first place. We're going to Boston to see him 4 games. Boston, I don't know. Boston.
And we got all 4 of our great starters going in: Sandy, Anderson, Detmers, Ohtani.
I know, and that's got to feel pretty good. And we could sneak 3 out of 4 there.
That's pitch perfect.
I mean, 3 out of 4. That means we come out of there 10-6. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But we'll take it a game at a time because we know how things can happen, and we don't always play the greatest in Boston. So we'll put one foot in front of the other before we make any decisions on anything.
We're winning the World Series. That's kind of my takeaway. I think every single day we play, we win the World Series. So that's my prediction after this week, is that we are winning the World Series in 2023.
And then just a couple quick other things, and then we'll head out.
Like what?
So I think one other question that I've been hearing a lot out there is about Jake Lamb, and the fact that he's struggled at this point. I think he's I had his stats pulled up earlier. So he's had 26 at bats and 3 hits.
That's
2
good.
RBIs. He's batting .115.
That's good.
So my thing is that, again, I think it's too early. It's 12 games in. But if we go another 12 games and he's still struggling, and I know we're waiting for Walshy, but Walshy, they already saying it looks like it's going to be probably at least 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So at this point, I think if Lamb can't figure it out, I think we need to make a decision on him. The big hot commodity out there in the minors right now is Mr. Cabbage. He's tearing it up. Guy's got a lot of power.
Sick last name.
He's got a lot of power, and he's kind of the Walshy with the bigger beard. Walsh has the tight, clean thing going on.
Here's my argument against that: is that you have Jake Lamb, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he has one of those contracts where if you demote him now, he has the ability to opt out into free agency. Right?
It's not somebody that I would.
What I'm trying to say is that if what you're doing is you're waiting for Walsh, because right now I would rather play Drury at first, have Urshela at short every day, and then rotate Luis and Fletch at second, or do some combination. That's what I would prefer to have. So I mean, if you're gonna get rid of Lamb for really just the same thing that we're playing right now,
that
you have Cabbage in the minor leagues.
5-6 spot is killing us right now.
You have Cabbage in the minor leagues
Drury
that you can bring up later on the season.
Lamb's not performing in that spot.
Why would you waste a Lamb when you can get rid of him later?
Ranhifo's been struggling in that spot. Like, we're that 4-5. It's killed us because we get guys on, and those guys we're not performing in those areas. And again, we know what Jake Lamb can do. 4 years ago in Arizona, he had a couple of really great seasons, all-star seasons. And we saw him. He looked great in spring training, but his defense hasn't looked great. He hasn't looked comfortable. I think, if anything, we need to move him down in the order then. I think he doesn't belong. I think 7, move him down to 7.
I think you move Ohapi and Urshela up.
I'm afraid to move Ohapi up just because it's early and you don't want to start over-pressuring him. I love it. Plus, we need the offense down at the end. We've actually scored some runs from the bottom half of and it's been because Ohapi's been down there. We've gotten guys on, and he's been able to drive them in. So I like Ohapi there. I don't think we mess with things. Again, it's 12 games. I'm not saying we're making a change today, but it's just some food for thought, because I just think that things have been a little bit rough when it comes to what we've seen. And then the last thing we have to at least mention it, our good friend Mr. Joe Adell down in the minors.
He hit 6 homers in 6 games.
6 homers in 6
5.
games.
It might have been 5 games. I don't know.
No, I think it was 6 and 6. But this is the thing, and it was probably a little too rough in the first podcast, so I'll tone it down a little bit here so I don't sound so horrible. But
because we love Joe.
I just feel I do. I think he's a great guy. He's got a great attitude when he comes up. He's trying. He just reminds me sometimes of some past Angels we've had that are career monsters in the minors, and they come to the majors and they just don't, for whatever reason. And that's the difference. A lot of guys can be great in the minor leagues, and they just can't. They don't have that switch that will just get them through. I mean, maybe a full year down in the minors, he'll get seasoned and he'll look great for next year, because remember, Renfroe is only on this 1-year contract, so we're going to still need outfield help next year unless we re-up Renfroe. We're still going to have a spot in the outfield next year, so we've got 2 guys ready for that spot. But again, I know it's early. We want to at least shout out to Joe Adell. So great job, Joe Adell, down there. And yeah. So those are my thoughts. I'm excited. We're in first place, even though we really could be 8-1. We're in first place, even with all the things that have gone wrong. And we had a lot of craziness this past week, and yet we're still right there. So from that standpoint, I'm relaxed. I'm going to choose just to enjoy it, and we'll see what happens with this big Sox series. That's the next time we get on the Angel Angle. We'll be in New York during the New York series. Yes, we'll be in the New York series. So we already have finished the 4 games, and we'll already be in the New York series. So we'll kind of see how that goes.
All right. Well, we'll get back to you guys in that Boston series. All right.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for tuning in to the Angel Angle. Hopefully this recording is working. The audio works as well. Again, if you're listening to this podcast for more than 5 minutes, turn it off, walk outside, go get a hobby, and kiss your mother.
Go get a hot dog.
Go get a hot dog or something. All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your night.
All right. Thanks for watching the Angels Angle. Have a good night.